From a legendary Cuban marca, whose modern blend has drifted away from the reputation that built the band, to a Cuban release, whose construction discipline still defends the premium in every blind tasting that hides the label. There are 5 Cuban cigars sitting on shelves right now that have absolutely no business being priced where they are, and 3 under the same mystique premium that genuinely earn it. Most people walk into a Cuban purchase assuming the marca alone is the signal. It is not. The blend and the roller are the signal. These are the 5 Cuban cigars robbing you blind, and the 3 that are actually worth it. A subscribe and a like. Keep this kind of breakdown going. No brand deals, no sponsored picks, just the analysis the industry does not pay for. Robber number 1, Cohiba Behaik. We are starting with the most recognizable Cuban marca in the modern catalog and immediately making a point. Cohiba is a name that means something specific in Cuba. The Behaik line was released in 2010 as the flagship premium expression of the marca, built around the Medio Tiempo leaf, a rare priming the Cuban industry promoted as the structural justification for the price. The Behaik retails between $40 and $70 per cigar at most retailers, and the price has climbed steadily for over a decade while the construction consistency has not kept pace. This is a full-bodied Cuban puro with vuelta abajo filler, Cuban binder, and a Cuban habano wrapper. The blend is genuinely well conceived. The flavor profile is dark earth, leather, espresso, and a natural wrapper sweetness when the cigar performs. The problem is the second clause. Performance varies dramatically box to box, and at this price the variance is no longer acceptable. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Behaik is paying for the Medio Tiempo positioning, the Cohiba band, and the mystique architecture that surrounds the marca. The money is not consistently in the construction. A smoker buying a Behaik at $50 is paying roughly $20 for the cigar and $30 for the band history. The catalog above it depends on the listener not asking why a $50 cigar requires this much construction tolerance. Robber number 2, Montecristo number 2. The Montecristo number 2 is one of the most recognizable vitolas in Cuban history, and the marca has built its entire premium positioning around the cigar's place in the Cuban tradition. The number 2 retails between $25 and $40, depending on box and vintage, and the price has climbed steadily while the construction lottery has become the dominant conversation among experienced Cuban smokers. This is a medium to full-bodied Cuban puro built around the classic Montecristo blend profile. The flavor at its best is cedar, earth, a refined cocoa note, and a natural Cuban sweetness that defines the marca. The construction at its best is reliable. The construction at its worst is a draw lottery that no $30 cigar should impose on the smoker. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Montecristo number 2 has become a cigar, where box selection now matters more than the marca itself. Experienced Cuban smokers buy by vintage and by box code rather than by marca, because the construction consistency varies enough that a $30 cigar can deliver an $8 smoke. The catalog above it depends on the band carrying the conversation, while the leaf and the roll are treated as secondary. A smoker paying $30 for a numbers 2 is paying for the Montecristo name and the tradition the band carries. The current construction reality does not consistently defend the markup. Robber number 3, Cohiba Siglo VI. The Siglo line was released in 1992 as the modern expression of the Cohiba marca, and the Siglo VI in particular has become one of the most chased Cuban vitolas in the global market. The Siglo VI retails between $35 and $55, depending on box and region, and the price has climbed faster than almost any other Cuban release in the past decade. This is a medium to full-bodied Cuban puro built around the Cohiba blend tradition. The flavor at its best is cedar, cream, a refined honeyed sweetness, and a natural Cuban earthiness that the marca built its reputation around. The blend is genuinely refined. The problem is the price trajectory has moved faster than the blend has earned. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Siglo VI is paying for the Cohiba band, the limited regional positioning, and the scarcity architecture that surrounds the modern Cuban catalog. The same blend at the same construction discipline was $25 a decade ago. The cigar is now $45, and the leaf has not changed. The smoker paying the current premium is paying for the catalog drift, not the blend. The markup is the mystique. Robber number 4, Romeo y Julieta Churchill. The Romeo y Julieta Churchill is one of the most recognizable Cuban vitolas in the modern catalog, and the Marca has built its entire premium positioning around the cigar's place in the Cuban tradition. The Churchill retails between $20 and $35 depending on box and vintage, and the price has climbed steadily, while the modern construction has not consistently kept pace with the Marca's reputation. This is a medium-bodied Cuban Puro built around the classic Romeo y Julieta blend profile. The flavor at its best is cedar, a refined floral note, a soft honeyed sweetness, and a natural Cuban earthiness. The blend is competent. The construction varies enough that experienced Cuban smokers now buy by vintage and box code rather than by current production. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Romeo y Julieta Churchill is sustained by the mystique alone. The Marca history, the Vitola legacy, and the cultural weight of the name carry the premium. The current production reality does not consistently defend the markup. A smoker paying $28 for a modern Churchill is paying for the Romeo y Julieta tradition and the Churchill name. The leaf and the roll are a separate conversation. The catalog above it depends on the listener not asking why a $28 Cuban requires this much construction tolerance. Worth it Cuban number 1, Partagas Serie D number 4. This is the cigar that directly defends the Cuban premium against the modern catalog drift, and the release that experienced Cuban smokers reach for when they want a Marca that still earns the band. The Serie D number 4 retails between $15 and $22 depending on box and region, and the price has remained more honest than almost any other premium Cuban release over the past decade. This is a full-bodied Cuban Puro with Vuelta Abajo filler, Cuban binder, and a Cuban Habano wrapper. The flavor is dark earth, leather, espresso, a natural wrapper sweetness, and a black pepper backbone that builds in a sequence that defines the Partagas Marca. The construction discipline is among the most reliable in the modern Cuban catalog. Draw problems are rare. The cigar performs at the band consistently. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Serie D number 4 is the Cuban release that the catalog above it depends on the listener overlooking. A smoker swapping a Cohiba Siglo 6 for a Serie D number 4 saves roughly $25 per cigar and trades a refined medium-bodied Cuban whose price has drifted away from its blend for a full-bodied Cuban whose construction discipline still defends every dollar on the band. That swap should not be possible at this mystique tier. It is. Robber number 5, Bolivar Belicosos Finos. Now, we enter the most defensible-looking Cuban overcharge on this list, and the one most listeners will instinctively defend. Bolivar is a genuinely respected Cuban Marca, with one of the most consistent full-bodied blend profiles in the country. The Belicosos Finos is a release that has carried the Marca's reputation for decades. None of that is in dispute. The current price is. The Belicosos Finos retails between $18 and $28 depending on box and vintage. It is a full-bodied Cuban Puro with Vuelta Abajo filler, Cuban binder, and a Cuban Habano wrapper. The blend is genuinely respected. The flavor at its best is dark earth, leather, espresso, and a natural Cuban sweetness that the Marca built its reputation around. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Belicosos Finos was a $15 cigar a decade ago. It is now closer to $25 at most retailers, and the blend has not changed. The same Vuelta Abajo filler, the same Cuban binder, the same construction discipline. The Belicosos Finos is not a robber in the sense that the tobacco is dishonest. It is a robber in the sense that the price has drifted upward faster than the cigar has earned. The smoker paying $25 for a Belicosos Finos in 2026 is paying a mystique premium that the Partagas Serie D number 4, with comparable construction discipline and a comparable blend profile, does not charge for. Worth it Cuban number 2, Joyo de Monterrey, Epicure number 2. The Joyo de Monterrey Marca has built its reputation on one thing, getting medium-bodied Cuban tobacco right with construction discipline that does not require box code research. The Epicure number 2 is the release that demonstrates that discipline most consistently. The Epicure number 2 retails between $15 and $22 depending on box and region, and the price has remained more honest than almost any other Cuban release at this tier. This is a medium-bodied Cuban Puro with Vuelta Abajo filler, Cuban binder, and a Cuban Habano wrapper. The flavor is cedar, cream, a refined honeyed sweetness, a soft earthiness, and a clean finish that stays consistent through the entire smoke. The construction discipline is among the most reliable in the modern Cuban catalog. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Epicure No. 2 is the Cuban release that experienced smokers reach for when they want medium-bodied Cuban tobacco at a price that still defends the markup. The marca does not push the release the way Cohiba pushes the Siglo line. That silence is the reason the price has stayed honest. The construction is reliable. The blend is consistent. The premium is earned. That combination is rare at this tier. Worth it. Cuban No. 3, Trinidad Fundadores. This is the one. The Cuban release that the catalog above it cannot defend against. And the cigar that experienced Cuban smokers reach for when they want the strongest defense of why a Cuban premium can still be earned in the modern catalog. The Trinidad marca was originally produced exclusively for diplomatic gifting before the Cuban government opened the line to the broader market in 1998, and the Fundadores in particular has carried the marca's reputation since the release entered commercial distribution. The Fundadores retails between $25 and $35 depending on box and region, and the price has remained more honest than almost any other Cuban release at this premium tier. This is a medium to full-bodied Cuban Puro with Vuelta Abajo filler, Cuban binder, and a Cuban Habano wrapper grown across the most respected Cuban growing regions. The flavor is cedar, a refined honeyed sweetness, dried fruit, a soft earthiness, and a black pepper note that builds from the second third onward in a sequence that defines the marca. The construction discipline is among the most reliable in the modern Cuban catalog. Draw problems are rare. Uneven burns are rarer. The cigar performs at the band consistently across boxes and across vintages. Cigar Aficionado has scored the Trinidad Fundadores in the low 90s multiple times. Half-wheel reviewers have rated the line consistently in the low to mid-90s. Those scores have moved the price slowly upward, but the Fundadores has retained its blend discipline and its construction consistency in a way the louder Cuban marcas above it have not. Here is what the marketing will not tell you. The Fundadores is the Cuban release that demonstrates what the Cuban premium can still mean when the marca focuses on the blend and the roll rather than the mystique. A smoker swapping a Cohiba Behique for a Fundadores saves roughly $20 per cigar and trades a full-bodied Cuban whose construction lottery has become the dominant conversation for a medium to full-bodied Cuban whose construction discipline still defends every dollar on the band. The Behique is paying for the medio tiempo positioning and the Cohiba Mystique architecture. The Fundadores is paying for the leaf and the roller. That swap should not be possible at this Mystique tier. It is. The catalog above $30 depends on the Fundadores not being mentioned in the same conversation as the Behique or the Cohiba Siglo line. The blend is comparable. The construction discipline is more consistent. The price is lower. The mystique is the only thing the broader Cuban conversation is responding to when it elevates the louder marcas above the Trinidad. The leaf is a separate conversation, and the Fundadores wins that conversation in every blind tasting that hides the label. Experienced Cuban smokers reach for the Fundadores at home for the same reason they would reach for a Cohiba release at twice the price. Same growing regions, same Cuban farming program, same construction discipline. The band is the only thing the broader Cuban catalog is using to defend the price gap. The leaf does not defend it. The roll does not defend it. The mystique does, and the mystique alone is not a justification at $30 per cigar. The Trinidad Fundadores has been continuously produced for decades without a rebrand, without a limited edition cycle pulling the price upward, and without the marca chasing the catalog drift that defines the louder Cuban releases. That stability is the entire reason the cigar still defends the premium. The blend has not changed. The construction has not slipped. The price has moved upward more slowly than the Cuban catalog around it. At $28, the Fundadores is what the word Cuban actually means when the marca cares more about the leaf than the band positioning. The catalog above $30 cannot defend the gap. Most Cuban smokers walk past the Fundadores, assuming the Cohiba and Montecristo marcas above it carry the deeper Cuban tradition. They do not. They carry the louder marketing and the heavier mystique architecture. The Fundadores carries the Cuban tradition that built the country's reputation in the first place. That combination should not exist at this price. It does. The 8 Cuban cigars on this list split cleanly into 2 conversations. The 5 robbers are paying for the marca, the mystique, and the cultural weight the band carries. The leaf and the roller are a separate conversation, and the current production reality does not consistently defend the markup. The 3 Cubans worth it are paying for the leaf, the construction discipline, and the marcas that still earn the premium by focusing on the blend rather than the band. Most people walk into a Cuban purchase assuming the marca alone is the signal. It is not. The blend and the roller are the signal, and the gap between the 2 conversations is the entire reason this breakdown exists. Now, you know which 5 Cubans to walk past and which 3 to chase. Subscribe if you want more breakdowns like this one. We will see you in the next.